Hey there, hi there, ho there Disney fans. I hope you're doing super well today. My name's Lucy, I'm part of the team at 37 Disney Street, and today we're going to be talking DVC. The subject, whether to buy direct or resale.
Talking about DVC.
When I was trying to decide what order to do these videos in, I kind of knew this one needed to be quite near the top. Because if you're watching it because you're thinking of buying DVC, one of the most important decisions you'll make is whether you want to buy direct or resale. But before I delve into that particular subject, there's a few other things that you need to know so you'll understand what I'm talking about when I get into the nitty-gritty. The first one is home resort. When you buy a DVC contract, you have it attached to one of the Disney resorts and this becomes your home resort. Why that matters to you long term is that you get priority booking at that resort. But when you're buying it, there's other things to consider, price and availability being big ones, but the length of the contract is very, very important. So a brand new resort, when it is built, gets a 50-year contract. So the Riviera Resort is one that they're selling at the moment. That will expire in 2070. So that'll be a 50-year contract from now. Whereas if you buy at Saratoga Springs, for example, that was built in 2004, a contract there will end in 2054. So you only get a 34-year contract on that. That will matter a lot when we go into the resale market. The other thing you need to know is how they are priced when they are listed, the resale contracts. They are always priced per point. So even though there are other costs associated, management fees, handling fees, closing fees, etc., what you will see when you see contracts listed is 100 points at $150 a point. It's always listed price per point. And the last little term that you might hear me mention is use year, and this is quite simply the month of the year when your points get delivered to you. And that's it. So if you know all the words and all the terminology I'm going to be using, we may as well delve straight in there and talk about the pros and cons of buying direct versus buying resale.
Talking about DVC.
So, what do I mean when I say direct and resale? Well, quite simply, it means are you going to buy it direct from Disney themselves, or are you going to buy it second-hand on a resale market? So you walk into that sales office, you're buying it direct from Disney. You don't have to be in Orlando or California to do that. You can do it via phone or via email from the UK. It takes very slightly longer, but you're still buying it from Disney. Now, because a DVC contract is a real estate purchase, it is a tangible thing. And like any other tangible thing, it can be resold second hand. But because it's not something that you can hold in your hand, it's maybe best to think of it perhaps like the golden goose, because rather than laying golden eggs, every year it lays DVC points. I'd rather have that goose any day. And when you buy or sell resale DVC, you are buying or selling the goose. There are specialist companies and agents who deal with resale contracts, who are experts in it, and there's lots of websites out there. I'm going to put the link of the website I bought mine off down below. I had fabulous service, but I'm in no way associated with them, and there are lots and lots that you can get if you just Google buying DVC resale. When we were going through this process, and I was kind of talking to Hugh about it, and we decided we were going to go resale, one of the first things he said is, "Oh, does that mean that we're resale scum?" I was like, no. There's no difference if you get the resale contract to the regular contract as to how you are treated in terms of customer service. You're able to use the member website the same. The product itself functions exactly the same. But there are pros and cons to both. So I'm going to go through those with you now.
Talking about DVC.
Number one, let's talk available locations. So this is to do with your home resort. If you go to the Disney Vacation Club website now, interested in buying, you will see 3 resorts available. You'll see Aulani, which is in Hawaii. You'll see Copper Creek, which is at Wilderness Lodge, and you'll see the brand new Riviera Resort. Now, a word to you, Copper Creek, I believe, is nearly sold out, so that might not be there much longer. And it's the same if you go and visit the sales office. Those are the 3 resorts that we'll talk about. Those are the resorts that will be presented to you. So it may lead you to believe that those are the only resorts that are available. Now, that's not true. Those are the resorts that are currently in active sales. That means from the pool of points that's assigned to those resorts, they haven't sold out yet. Disney is still actively selling those resorts. All the other resorts have been sold out, but that doesn't mean you can't buy them. And that's where the resale market comes in. So let's look at something like Animal Kingdom Lodge. You've got your heart set on Animal Kingdom Lodge because it's your favourite resort. You know that's where you want to stay. You want to make sure that you've got the priority booking window so that you can get that club level Savannah view that you've always dreamed of, but they're not offering it on the website. Well, there's 2 ways you can get it. You can ask your Disney representative about it, your Disney guide, and they do sell them. But they can't magically pluck out more points for that resort. So it's a little bit under the counter because they have had to buy back other people's contracts. So sometimes you'll ask them about them and they won't be available, or they'll only have a certain number of points available, or you'll be put on a wait list. Whereas on the resale market, because you're buying other people's contracts, you have available to you all those sold out resorts. Some are harder to get hold of than others. Grand Californian is very difficult to get hold of, but it does pop up from time to time. But I've heard that Disney do not sell Grand Californian just because the supply and demand has pushed the price so high that they can't afford to be buying it back in order to resell it. And that brings us neatly onto the most important reason for buying resale, which is price.
Talking about DVC.
The main reason people will choose to buy resale is because of the price. And this can be huge. If you buy direct from Disney, you pay a premium for buying direct from Disney. Part of that is because you usually buy the new resorts, so you get that full 50-year contract. But really, it's because you pay rack rate. They do often have special offers, which means that for a certain period of time, if you buy over 125 points, you can get $5 off per point, or, similar. This ebbs and flows throughout the year. But if you buy resale, you can put in offers and you can negotiate, and that can make a huge difference. Just to illustrate how huge, I'm going to presume that you don't really care where your home resort is, that you just want those points. So, cue the blackboard.
Talking about DVC.
If you were to buy 150 points at Copper Creek at Wilderness Lodge, that would currently cost you $210 per point. That would give you an overall cost of $31,500, and that is with a 2068 use year. Now, if you contrast that on the resale market, you go for one of the cheaper resorts, which at the moment would be Saratoga Springs. 150 points at Saratoga Springs would cost you in the region of $100 per point. So that comes out at about $15,000, and that is a difference of $16,500. Now, granted, you've got a 14-year difference in the contrast length, but you still get a 34-year contract. And the upfront cost, it's a saving of $16,500. But that's not really comparing like for like. So let's get those same 2 resorts and compare them, what they would cost direct from Disney and what they would cost via resale. So, Copper Creek, you do see some contracts come up on Copper Creek. Not many, because people tend to have not had them long and they've only bought them in the last couple of years. But when you do see them coming up, 150 pointer could be going for about $158 per point. So that would give you 23,700 points, which means you've saved 7,800 points by going resale. Now, there are reasons you might choose to go direct, which I'm coming on to later, but right now you can save $7,800 by going resale on a Copper Creek contract. The savings on Saratoga Springs are even bigger. You can buy these sold out resorts from Disney. They currently have a rack rate of $165 per point, and that comes out at $24,750. So that is a saving by buying resale of $9,750 on that 150 point contract. So that is another big difference. Another feature of a resale contract is what you actually get in that contract. Now, if you go direct to Disney and you buy 150 points, as the example we've been using, they will load 150 points for you immediately, and then you'll get it every year from then on, as we've discussed. But that's not necessarily the case with resale. And the reason is that you buy the contract exactly as the seller has left it. Now that means if they banked 2019's points into 2020's points, you could have double points this year, or they could have used all your 2020 points in 2019 by borrowing the points, so you might have no points this year. You might even have no points next year if they've already stripped and borrowed them, or you might end up with an odd number of points. Just as an example, when we bought our contract, we had 32 points banked from the previous year. So our first year as resale owners, we had 182 points available in that first year, as opposed to just 150, because we had some banked points. Now this can affect the price, and in many ways it can work in your advantage. If you get a contract that is stripped of points, say there's no points available for 2020 or 2021 because they borrowed them and spent them, you can actually get a deal where you get a very, very low price per points. You save a lot of money. If you're not planning on travelling until 2023, you can save a lot of money on a stripped contract. So as long as you keep your eyes peeled for a bargain, this is actually quite a useful feature of a resale contract.
Talk about PVC.
So let's move on to some reasons to buy direct. Now the first one is it is really easy, particularly if you are there in Florida or California at the time. You go in, you sign your paperwork, and you can have those points on your membership contract by the end of the day. I've even heard of people extend their holidays by 2 days and use the points that they've just bought to get some hotel accommodation for those days. It can be available that quick. If you're buying from home, particularly from the UK, it can take slightly longer because they have to mail over paperwork for you to sign, etc. But still, you can expect to be closed and ready to spend them in a week or two. Now, that is not the case with resale at all. It is a long, tedious process. You have to
put your offer in, have your offer accepted. You then send the paperwork off to Disney because they get right of first refusal on all contracts. You wait to hear back from right of first refusal, and then you wait for the paperwork to be drawn up and you sign it, and then the seller has to sign it, and then you have to go through closing and title transfer and
all this stuff. And then after all that's done, you have to
wait for Disney to process your membership, so you actually get a membership ID number to use on the website and have your points loaded before you can spend the points.
Now, unfortunately, I bought my points right in the middle of all the layoffs that were going on at Disney, and I think that really slowed down this process. Mine took 79 days, and I did hear at the time of people going up to 120 days. But even in good times, when there's a full staff in the office, you're looking at 60 days easily before you can get your hands on those points and book those trips, and it's frustrating. So that's a big tick in the buying direct box. But now we need to look at perks. And this is probably the biggest reason people knowingly pay $16,000 over the odds. As a direct member, you will be given a blue membership card. And as a resale buyer, you will be given a white membership card. Now, I said earlier, you're not treated any differently. The product stays the same. But there are things that that blue membership card entitles you to. Before I go through them, I just have to point out, I'm recording this in December 2020, and as I'm sure you all know, the world's on fire. So because of the current pandemic, a lot of these perks are unavailable. They can change them at any time, they can disappear, they can come back. So I'm going to list what they were before the pandemic, but I'm also going to give that caveat of I don't know what they will be after the pandemic. And one thing I really need to mention, in order to get all these blue card perks, you have to buy at least 125 points direct from Disney. So you can get 10% off dining at various dining locations by showing your card. You get cash stay discounts. So let's say you've only got enough points for a week, but you want to stay for 2. You can use your membership card to get money off a hotel room for an extra week. You get 15% off the miniature golf courses. You get 15% off all tours. Now, I have to point out here that all tours are currently cancelled. You get special pricing for after hours events. At last look, it was $30 off a Villains After Hours event. But there are currently no after hours or before hours events on, so that's another moot one. You can get 10% off dessert parties. Again, no dessert parties available at the moment. And you can get between 10% and 30% off merchandise at merchandise locations. So that could save you a pretty penny if you're a shopper like me. But let's go on to the big 3. The first one is discounted annual passes. Now, they've currently suspended annual pass sales. We don't know how much they will cost when they come back. We don't know how much the DVC discount will be when they come back. But before the pandemic, it was about a $300 saving. Now, if you're somebody who is going to take a family of 4 and you're going to buy annual passes, say that you're going to go 11 months apart, so you know that you'll use them twice, that could save you $1,200 for that family of 4. You do that for 4 or 5 years, you've done a huge saving. So that can convince people that paying the extra will in the long term be worth it if you plan on doing annual passes. And then that brings us on to Moonlight Magic. Now this is basically a private party for DVC members and it is free. So it's very much like your after hours events that they do when your Mickey's Not So Scary, because they do have special character meet and greets, they have special fireworks shows, and it is entirely free, I have to keep saying that, to blue card members. That is a big perk, and I've heard many people say that these are the best events they've attended at Disney. They're only a few times a year, so you do have to be there and staying there and wanting to go at the time. And the last one is perhaps the smallest, but in my opinion, the cutest. And that is, there's a members lounge in Epcot for you to take a break from the hot sun and the crowds, and they've got drinks and snacks, and you can just sit and charge your phone and chill for a while in an exclusive members area. Again, currently closed for the pandemic. But let's not start to think that being resale is entirely perk free, because it isn't. You've got the Top of the World Lounge, which is a bar right at the top of Bay Lake Tower that overlooks the Magic Kingdom, and that is members only, and that is accessible by white card holders for the simple reason that it's paid for through dues. So as you pay your management fees and your dues every year, you're into the Top of the World Lounge, and I hear there is a spectacular view of the fireworks when they come back. You can also do pool hopping around the resorts, which normal guests are not entitled to, but DVC members are. And you can buy a Tables in Wonderland card, which is currently only Florida residents and DVC members. It costs $150, but it gets you 20% off food and alcohol at most Disney World table service restaurants. So for that $150 over the space of a fortnight, you could save a lot of money, more than you could with Blue Card membership, because that's only 10% on dining. So that's a perk for the resale members. And there are further advantages to buying direct, but really it's restrictions on buying resale. They have recently made it so that anybody buying resale can no longer stay at the new hotels. Now that's new customers buying resale from now on. People who bought resale last year are fine. They can stay at any new hotels that Disney build. But if you buy from now on, you won't be able to stay at Riviera is the first resort that this applies to. But the new Disneyland Tower that they're planning on building in California, you wouldn't be able to stay there. And Reflections, a lakeside lodge, which rumour has it has been cancelled since the pandemic hit, but that was due to be built on Bay Lake and you wouldn't have been able to stay there. So if you really desperately want to stay at these new resorts that are being built and these future resorts, you do have to buy in direct with Disney.
Talk about DVC.
So that's it. I hope that's helped explain and clear up the difference between direct and resale. And if you're planning on buying, good luck. I hope you get everything you ever wanted. Our next episode will be on exactly how much DVC costs, whether it's worth it, and how that money breaks down over time to see if you can save money by buying DVC. So I hope you'll tune in for that one, because I love it when we can get into some numbers and some maths and some nitty-gritty. If you enjoyed Disney Chat, be sure to check out our podcast 37 Disney Street, where we discuss film reviews, the classics and little bits of Disney history. If you're a fan of Disneyland Paris, we have our sister podcast, the Disneyland Paris Show. And if you like quizzes, live shows, DVC, anything like that, be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. All these available on YouTube and on podcast platforms of your choice. So that's it. I've been Lucy. You've been great. Bye-bye.